Welcome to this video on how to use IrfanView, free software, to rename and resize image files. So here's an example of some files that we've taken as part of our Big B project. And you may have a camera that just uses generic file names like this. Or in our case, we have a camera that we've set it to put the catalog number actually in the file name as we take the picture. Either way, there's a couple of things to notice here. One is there is no determination label in this photo and it's not in the file name. So how do we know what species this is? So we're going to add text overlay with the file name, and we're going to add that to the image. You can also see here that we've taken these at very high resolution, so it's 4,000 by 3,000 pixels, which is good for some things, but maybe too high of a resolution for Notes from Nature. Look at these file sizes, are a little big for Notes from Nature to deal with. So we're going to use IrfanView. Open that up, and it's not exactly obvious what to do when you first open it. So we're going to go to File, Batch Conversion, and Rename. So you have a few options here. Let's step through it. Batch conversion, you can convert from JPEG to TIFF or vice versa. You can convert to a smaller image size. You can add text overlays. With the rename, that's to rename the file name. So we can do that in batch, or we can do both at the same time. So we're going to select that. The first thing I want to do is select which images that I want to rename. So I'm going to go to my folder where I have those. And let's start with the ones that have a generic camera name to them. So we'll select all of those and we will add those to our project. One little quirk to notice is the last image that was selected becomes the first one in the list. Now, if it's important that these are in order so that you can put the proper catalog numbers on them, then you're going to want to sort these. So you can very simply go here and sort by name ascending, and now they're sorted in the proper order. If you don't do that, everything's going to be off by one and it'll be a nightmare. So make sure they're sorted. So the next thing is we want to rename this file. So I'm going to go to our name pattern here and look at our options and get rid of what's there already. In this case, we want to add our catalog number, and in my case, we start with EMEC. And then we're going to be putting a 7-digit number on ours because that's where we are. So I'm going to put in 7 pound symbols here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to tell it that the starting number is 1, 3, 2, 6, 6, 8. Is that right? 1, 3, 2, 6, 6, 6, 6, 8. There we go. So that's our starting number. Now I just have to know that. Of course, I can go back to this folder over here and see what the first image is, and it's 1, 3, 2, 6, 6, 8. Okay, good. And then I want to add the species name. So what's going to happen is it's going to put the EMEC, and then it's going to put a 7-digit number that's going to start with this number, and it's going to increment by 1 for each one. And then I'm going to put a space, Hesperapis erinicola. So that's the species that we're shooting here. And so every specimen is going to have the same thing, and the number will be different based on what we start with. And I'll say OK to that. The next thing is I'd like to add that same name as a text overlay. So I'm going to go into the advanced option under the conversion settings. And there's a lot going on here. You can play with this later on. But I'm going to go to the add overlay text settings. And I'm going to type in the text that I want is Hesperapis erinicola. And I've already got a bunch of other things set. It's going to be black text of font size 72. It's going to be in the lower left bottom corner there. And I've set the space that I want it to fit into. So I'll say OK to that. OK to this. The last thing I need to do is tell it where to put the results. So the result files, browse, I'm going to put it in the renaming folder. So I've set up a folder already for the renamed files. And then I just hit Start Batch. And you can see it's taken those IMG numbers and replacing them with the catalog numbers, and it's incrementing for each one, and it's adding the name. So we'll return to the batch there, and let's go to our folder. So scroll up here to the rename folder. There they are. You can see that the name has been added as a text overlay, It's replaced the IMG with this name. It's got the right catalog number there. We can click on another one. You can see it's got the right catalog number there, and it's added the species name to the file. So there we have it for doing a complete rename. But we have a bunch of files where we already have the right catalog number. So for that, we're going to do something a little differently. And I'm going to go to the large icons here so that I can select these beetle images that I have here. I can see where the beetles end. And I'm going to remove everything that's in there already, and I'm going to add all of these. Now again, oops, no, it added all of them. My mistake. I want to remove all of those and just add the ones that I've selected. So again, it's put the last one first. In this case, it doesn't matter because I'm going to keep these numbers, but I can still sort them if I want to. Okay, so now rather than using this where I'm adding the catalog numbers, I already have the catalog numbers, so I want to keep the file name exactly as it is. So $n, string n, means keep the old file name exactly as it is. And then on top of that, I want to add the species name. Dislobus cygnus is this beetle. And we don't have any hashtags, any pound signs in there, so this number doesn't matter anymore. We can get rid of it, we can leave it, we can do whatever we want. One other thing though is we have an underscore. The camera puts an underscore between the EMEC and there and the number, and I don't want that. So I'm going to get rid of the underscore by saying replace the underscore with nothing. And so now we have keep the original file name, get rid of the underscore, and add that name to it. Say OK to that. And I want to put it in the same place. Oops, wrong button. Go to the advanced options, change the settings. So we don't want that name on it. We want this new name, Dislobus cygnus. And I could have just copied that from the other one. Say OK to that. And we're going to have it go to the same renamed location. And I hit start. And you can see that it's keeping that same catalog number, but it's getting rid of the underscore and it's adding the species name. So we can go to our folder and see how that looks. Scroll down a little bit. So these have now been added. And oh, we're still in the Hesperapus. Here we go in the Dislobus cygnus. It's got the catalog numbers that it's retained from the original file name, and it's added that name there. One last thing that I'll show you is these are super high resolution, 4,000 by 3,000 pixels, and we want to change that. So we'll go back here, and we're not going to do any renaming at all. We're just going to do a conversion. So I'm going to click the conversion option up here, so it gets rid of the name pattern options. And then on the advanced section here, I don't want to add a new text overlay, so I'm going to uncheck that. But instead, I'm going to resize it to this size, 1600 by 1200, which is a good size for notes from nature. So now I'm going to rename those, and that's the only thing I'm going to do. But I want to put them in a new folder, so I'm going to put them in my resize folder. Say OK to that, and start that batch. And you can see it's moving them from one folder to another. Oops, and I clicked the wrong ones here, but what you can see is it kept the same file name. I meant to select the new ones that we just did. Return to batch, and we can go into the resize, and here are those same files, but now they're 1600 by 1200. But they look otherwise the same. But because I didn't use the ones that we renamed, then we didn't get what we wanted. So I'm going to delete those and just go through this process again. Go back here. I'm going to remove all of these because that's not what I wanted. Instead, I'm going to go into our temp folder, and all these ones that we just renamed, I'm going to select all of them and add all of them, and now run that same batch again. And again, you can see that it's going from the rename folder to the resize folder. It's keeping the same file name. Now if we go back to that rename folder or the resize folder, we can see it's kept the information, it's kept the file name, but we can see now that it's 1600 by 1200 size image. So there you have it. We've both added names to the file name and added text overlay, and we've also resized the image pretty quickly. And if you're doing one specimen at a time, it can be annoyingly slow to use this process. But if you have a whole bunch of them to do at once, it's a really quick and convenient way to resize and rename files. So thanks for watching.